everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jason.
Hey Jason, what is this?
We're talking about Nightmare Before Christmas.
We sure are. Oh, and also we're father
and son.
So Jason, Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993, Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. He, of course, didn't direct this movie, but it was a brainchild of him. He obviously has... What is so funny?
It was a brainchild to him.
Yeah. Well, see, I wasn't quoting from The Tick. That comes from a thing, like, there's villains called Brainchild, because Brainchild's like a thing.
Really?
Yep. It means a thing somebody came up with.
Mm.
Yep. Anyway, so this is a movie that you had seen when you were younger. And how much did you remember about it?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. So, like we often do on the show, we're gonna get Jason's like somewhat first thoughts on this, his first impressions, and I'll weigh in here and there a little bit too. I've never straight up done a review on Nightmare, so this will be a whole lot of fun. This is a thing that I don't want to say a love-hate relationship with. I don't really, there's not anything I hate about this movie, but it's a frustrating thing for me because I absolutely love it, but I've always had story issues with it, and I've always had kind of third act issues with it. My wife doesn't like it. Sarah just straight up doesn't like Nightmare. And
because of the third act.
Yeah, for the most part, I think she's just frustrated that the story doesn't culminate into enough of what it could have. That like it's a really good setup, but then when you get to the end, it gets kind of typical. And like I agree with her on that, but it doesn't kill the whole piece for me. Like it's still really fun to sit down and watch. And like a lot of Tim Burton stuff, I don't come to this this is unfortunate, but like I don't come to it for the story as much as I do the trappings of it, the visual artistry of it, the music of it, and all of that. And I guess that doesn't impress my wife as much as it does me. But she's not here to defend herself, and it would be fun to get in a debate about Nightmare with Sarah. But at the end of the day, at the same time, it becomes something of a taste issue, kind of like other Burton work around the same time, like Batman Returns and stuff like that, where you know, some people really love that movie and don't mind that it's as light on story and Batman characterization as it is. And I've always had a tough time with it, and I don't think it really works. But I get why people love the artistry of that movie, the atmosphere, the moodiness of it. And I guess I have that a little bit with Nightmare, although I think there's more story meat to this than there is Batman Returns, and there's certainly a character I can more sink my teeth into. It's just a character arc that kind of falls flat by the end for me. But anyway, I'm going to give you the floor, and we'll go ahead and get right into it.
Oh, and one of the trick-or-treat kids is Pee Wee Herman and Penguin's dad.
That's right, yeah. He's got a good relationship with Tim Burton. He comes back in his stuff some. But I had forgotten about that, so I'm glad that you brought that up, yeah. So, where do you want to start?
I have no idea. I guess I'll just start with good things and bad things.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
I guess good things.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the idea of Halloween Town.
Yeah.
Like when it opens, there's just like this whole like all these creepy stuff like every day and.
It's a modern fairy tale.
Yeah. And I feel like
it's trying to explain like real life cultural stuff, where and like really dwindle it down and make it like easy for kids to understand. Where it's like instead of going through all of the history that leads us to Halloween and Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving and St. Patrick's Day is one of the trees. I wonder what that town looks like. St. Patrick's Day town.
St. Patrick's Day is one of the trees?
Yeah, it's one of the trees. If you ever did a sequel to this, I always wanted to go to St. Patrick's Day town and see if some of those other like make it really ridiculous. Like back the forest off even more, and you've got like a Father's Day town. And like Mardi Gras town, and start bringing in like holidays from other cultures too, and you've got like Thanksgiving, but you also have over here Canadian Thanksgiving. That'd be fantastic. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so it's kind of simplifying things for children like a lot of fairy tales do, and coming up with kind of a clever explanation for where these things come from. And so each holiday has a town with characters that prepare all year long for that holiday. Just imagine preparing all year long for Father's Day or Columbus Day.
Columbus State. 4th of July,
4th of July town. Yeah, Independence Day town. It would just be like patriots firing at aliens that are trying to blow up the White House. That all year long.
Oh my gosh.
That tree would just say ID4 just on the tree anyway.
I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
So have you seen the movie Independence Day?
No.
We'll do that at some point. That'll be fun. But
okay.
So in Independence Day, it's the 4th of July. So the logo for that movie on all the box art and posters and stuff was ID4.
Oh. Okay.
Which made it look like the 4th in a franchise. When I was a kid, I thought that was weird. Anyway, we're off the beaten path.
Independence Day 4.
But you like the idea of the fairy tale.
Mm.
What do you think of the way of the way the Halloween characters are presented and represented? Like the idea that they're like a lot of them are dead or undead and like creepy and creepy crawlies and stuff because they're supposed to be Halloween characters, but there's kind of this underlying idea that they're not like bad people, that like there's a standard of like decency within Halloween Town. There's that line in the opening song like but but we're not mean.
So I think that, like, they're not mean in that town because that's just how everyone act. Like, that's just the way everyone goes in that town.
Yeah.
Like, so if they would try to act that way in another town, it would be kind of weird.
Yeah, which is what happens when we get into Christmas. Because they make Christmas presents and then people, unwrap them, and there's this kind of, cultural misunderstanding where to the people in Halloween Town, like, they're not trying to be mean, like it's a matter of different standards and different expectations, right? It's all a matter of perspective. For them, that's what's fun. Mm. And that's what they expect because they're all about Halloween. And on the night of Halloween, you expect tricks and treats, at least traditionally, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so for them, a present is going to be a trick. That's what Halloween's all about. Mm-hmm. And so it's all about practical joking.
Yeah.
I imagine April Fool's Day Town would look somewhat similar. It's a lot of practical jokes.
Earth Day Town. But like I feel like that like just can they be like mean in Halloween Town? I mean, I guess they could, right?
Well, apparently, because there's an evil villain there who's like the one guy that nobody likes and and everybody sees as, below the standards of Halloween Town decency. So I guess there are lines they draw. Like, I always saw this as kind of vague, where like, it's okay to do all the stuff that they're kind of, born to do. Like, we even have, like, an award given to the vampires for, like, most blood drain in a single evening and stuff like that. Like, it seems like, they do the scary Halloween stuff, but then Oogie Boogie kidnaps Santa Claus, and like that's where they draw the line. And so yeah, I don't fully understand the standard of decency in Halloween Town.
Yeah. And then I really like the soundtrack.
Especially because it's okay for Jack to kidnap him, but he's trying to treat him well.
Yeah.
But so it's not that Oogie Boogie kidnaps somebody. It's that Oogie Boogie is torturing the guy and maybe going to
kill
him. Put him in a lake of fire and.
That's what he almost does.
And, like, Oogie Boogie already has a reputation. Like, he's an outcast, he lives alone, nobody likes him, everybody stays away from him. I mean, he is... But what's curious is, he seems to be doing what he was born to do. Like, it's his nature, just like everybody else. Like, he's the Oogie Boogie man. You know, he's the boogeyman. Like he doesn't just scare people. Like he's lurking. He's waiting for you to show up, and he's going to do horrible things to you. So like it's arguable whether in like the way Halloween Town is, if he's even really doing anything wrong. But I guess he is, according to Jack.
Yeah.
You know, like. I guess he's the bad guy, but I'm not really sure what's that different between him and everybody else in Halloween Town.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of always the question I had. We're kind of jumping all the way to my issues, but you know, we're like, you have a mad scientist who is not characterized as a bad guy so much as just the plot device that we need for Sally to like have
break out a window.
Yeah, to have something to go up against, where she is supposed to be kind of parallel to Jack, where both of them are kind of, you know, stuck in their respective expected places, and they want to break out of those and be free and try new things. And so he's holding her back because he created her, and it's kind of a Frankenstein kind of thing, right? But I don't feel like he's supposed to be like evil, like a bad guy. He's just another guy in the town, and that's just what he does because he was born that way. But or that's just his nature. Like that's just, like, you have all these kind of like horror archetypes or Halloween archetypes, and he's one of them, right? Like, pardon me, he's your mad scientist. He's your genetic engineering. You know, kind of crazy person. He's got the Igor type guy, and then Jack's. You know, the skeleton guy, and you've got vampires, and you have like a werewolf guy, and like it's all in there. And Oogie Boogie's the boogeyman, and that's also in there.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've never fully understood that. And it seems like it's kind of worked out that way just so that we can have sort of a villain formula that it degenerates into at the end.
I don't even know why they need just to make it a little bit longer. Like, I don't know why they need the villain plot.
Yeah, I've never fully understood that.
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue with it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I love this movie. It's just that's the
Yeah.
thing holding it back for me.
It's just like it goes into just a villain plot, and why?
And I've always felt like it holds back Jack's character arc, but we can talk about that more later. What other good things do you have?
So I really like the soundtrack.
Well, yeah.
And there's a lot of songs.
Where does it rank for you now on musicals? Like, is it one of the better musicals you've seen, or is it kind of middle of the road, or?
For musicals, yeah, it.
And you're like a musical kid. Like,
I'm
you like musicals.
It's probably like middle, or like maybe like higher than that.
Can you rattle off a few of your favorite musicals? Like things that you've maybe put above this that you've seen?
Well, definitely Sound of Music, because it's just my favorite musical. I've seen, I'm probably going to see The Music Man like 2 weeks from now.
Oh, you still never seen that?
I've still never seen that.
But like, there's Willy Wonka.
Oh yeah, Willy Wonka. There's The Producers.
The Producers, yeah. Yeah, that's a great movie.
I like that movie.
There's Mary Poppins.
Which I haven't seen in a long time.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of Disney movies.
Yeah.
Aristocats is probably
Aladdin.
one of my favorite. Yeah.
Is one of your favorite things. Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about the music in that movie, but.
No, I like the music in that movie. That's
I do
probably
too.
why I like that movie.
Yeah.
But
The
yeah.
fair is a veritable smorgasbord.
Have you seen
Like
that?
Lion King. Oh yeah, a million times. Yeah, of course. But anyway.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Lion King in a long time too.
So, stuff to know about the music. Did you know that? So we've talked about Danny Elfman before because we've done Beetlejuice, and this is a couple years after Beetlejuice.
I did not realize that she played Sally. That person played Sally.
Who's she?
I forgot her name.
I don't even know.
That.
Are you talking about the girl from Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Is that who that is? Is that
Yeah.
Lydia?
No, not Lydia. Delia.
Oh, Delia. Okay. Yeah. But now that you say that, I can hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. I never looked that up either.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sure. But anyway, so you know that Danny Elfman scores most of Tim Burton's movies. And I consider this to be his true to force masterpiece. Like, this is what a lot of his kind of licks and stings and melodies were all leading to. You can hear bits of Nightmare Before Christmas in several movies before you get to Nightmare, and we've talked about this before. There's a lot of it in Beetlejuice. There's a lot of it in '89. There's a lot of it in Darkman, because Darkman is pretty much just the '89 soundtrack. But like, and then even Batman Returns. They're like Making Christmas is all over the first act of Batman Returns. Like that opening chase sequence, dun 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 dun. It's all over. And then you get into this, and he's added lyrics to it now, and it's like it's like everything he was working on was stepping stones to get to Nightmare. I don't know if you realize this, but he not only wrote the music, but he wrote all the lyrics as well. And for the longest time I didn't know that. So it turns out that Danny Elfman is like a really great lyricist too, because it's not just the music that's wonderful in this. Like, there's a lot of great lyrics. It's a really good musical, and there's a lot of really creative, clever stuff. And I don't know, like, he's just firing on all cylinders on this. But he also was the singing voice for Jack.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it matches. Like, you'd never know that.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds...
It sounds like whoever played Jack.
Yeah. That's great.
And it also matches because he wrote all the songs.
Sure.
But
yeah, like, he gets top billing a lot because he did the singing voice. But Chris Sarandon was the voice of Jack Skellington. And yeah, you're right, Catherine O'Hara was Sally. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never looked that up. Interesting.
I didn't know who Catherine O'Hara was until I saw her picture, and I'm just like, wait, what? Because I saw her in the opening credits, but I didn't know.
And I mentioned the Mad Doctor guy. He's in compared him to Frankenstein. I mean, his name is Finkelstein, and I had forgotten about that. So, I mean, like...
Although, apparently they only say his name once.
That's why I never remember it. Yeah. I didn't even know if he had a name.
And he doesn't in the credits.
Let me ask you this, since we're oh, does he not?
Yeah, they just call him Mad Scientist in the credits.
Where do they say his name?
I don't know.
Okay. So, while we're there, who would you say is your favorite supporting character?
Probably either Sally or I really like the mayor.
Yeah.
Because
that bipolar mayor who has exactly two modes.
Yeah.
Really happy or completely devastated.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. He is, I think, the most toyetic character in the movie, besides Jack, because that would be a fun action figure to play with. But like, by the way, there's lots and lots of merchandising, of course, for Nightmare, and there still is. Like, every year at Halloween, especially.
I have seen way more Nightmare than I have this year.
The last 4 or 5 years, it's been ramped up more and more every year. You're right. This year has been crazy for the Nightmare merch.
Yeah,
and it's always quality. There's a lot of really good stuff. I got my mom a Nightmare snow globe for her birthday. Because that was the thing that she and I always liked when I was growing up. But yeah, I always thought that was kind of a fun toy, and of course they made action figures for this, and I never had any of them. But but like, just, you know, the kind of bipolar mayor, the face that you can like turn around.
The action figure that I would want for Jack, if they make it, is you can just stretch his face around.
That's cool. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he does that.
That's I feel like that's like the weirdest thing in the movie, is just his face goes crazy. And he's just...
Which doesn't make a lot of sense because he's a skeleton guy.
Yeah, and he goes
got
like,
he's got like a rubber skull that he can just like move all around the place.
And he had like 500 faces that they switched around for all of them.
Yeah, like if they ever, if in the 90s or the early 2000s they had done because you couldn't do it now, but if they had done a live action version of Jack Skellington, he'd have to be Jim Carrey. Like who else could do the rubber face of Jack Skellington? Not that he necessarily fits for any other reason, but yeah, no, and he makes some like legitimately creepy faces. That's one of the things I love about Jack Skellington is I buy that he's the king of Halloween.
Yeah.
The Pumpkin King. Like I buy that he's that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why he's the Pumpkin King because he's a skeleton.
Well, I think it's sort of like an not elected because it's a king, but it's like an office that you hold. You know what I mean? It's like whoever is like the scariest and most theatrical and can put on the best show gets to be the Pumpkin King. You know, so like you don't have to be a pumpkin guy to be the Pumpkin King. Like whoever falls in that. I always thought it'd be cool. Like I am desperate for some background on Oogie Boogie. Like if I was going to put in some kind of an explanation for why he's so jaded and why the town doesn't like him, I would have maybe like made him the original Pumpkin King, or said that and like maybe he did something that got him thrown out, or maybe like Jack just beat him and he doesn't like that he's not King of the Hill anymore. Like you could have given him and Jack some kind of a rivalry, and that could have been really cool.
Yeah. And that might have been why he was just like, and leave that Oogie Boogie guy out of it.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I don't want to spend the whole time complaining about that, but we'll probably get back to that again. But no, I just now thought of that, though. Like, wouldn't it be cool if they had a rivalry? Because he's also a showman, you know? Like, he's a total showboat. And he has this completely other style from Jack. This kind of, bluesy, Vegas, casino thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to Jack's like very traditional, kind of like Broadway style.
Yeah. Should we do my top 3 favorite songs since we're
there? Yeah, let's talk about songs. Absolutely.
So my number 3.
Ooh, can I take guesses?
Yeah.
Can I take guesses? So what is This Is in there?
Yes.
Is it number 1?
No.
What is this? It's so good. I don't think it's my favorite either, but it's one of the most memorable.
I was gonna say that's my number 3.
In some ways, I don't know. It's hard to say like best scenes, best moments because it's so much fun all the way through. But and even like let me say that I have story issues with the ending. The ending is really well executed.
Yeah.
The scene. I wouldn't have done the bad guy takedown right after. I mean, Jack needs to clean up his own mess somehow, certainly, but I feel like that's too easy and less interesting of a way that it could have been done. But he has that kind of epiphany of like, no, I did accomplish something here. I did get to try something new, but I also stole this holiday away from everybody, and I have to make things right. And so then he goes and he takes down Oogie Boogie because it was his fault that Santa Claus gets kidnapped. That's kind of typical. I don't love that, but it's a really fun scene when he's taking down Oogie Boogie, and then Jack and Sally's coming together on the frozen hill at the end is boss.
Yeah, there should be
it's such a good last scene.
Because there should be 2 box art for this. There should be the regular when he's up on the hill, and then there should be the Sally one on the frozen.
On the
hill.
Frozen one, yeah, that's
from
cool.
the beginning, and then at the end.
And it should be like a lenticular thing where you can like move it back and forth, and it's the Halloween one, and then when you turn it, it's the Christmas one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But anyway, so yeah, it's really hard to say what the best sequence is, but I almost want to say it's the what is this sequence when he goes to Halloween to Christmas Town for the first time. That whole montage, it's so good.
Yeah. Can you...
That moment of discovery and of again kind of an epiphany where he's discovering a new world for the first time through children's eyes. it's I don't know, it's really relatable. It's like because you turn into a kid again. I mean, you are a kid, so you know what it's like to turn into a kid again, but you turn into a kid again. So what is this is on there? Was this like second or third?
Yeah, third.
Third? Oh, cool. Okay. So then Sally's Song is gonna be first or second.
No.
Are you serious? But it's so good.
It's good. It would probably be my number like 4 or 5.
It is number 1 for me, man. I love it so much. That melody, it brings me to tears almost every time. But I think I like it more now after Amy Lee sang it. Because Amy Lee from Evanescence, because they did Nightmare Revisited several years ago, and when I heard that, it crushed me in the best way possible, man. It was like, oh my god, what is this? Like, it's so good. Okay, so that's not on there.
No.
This is Halloween?
I also like, yes, that is my second one.
Oogie Boogie?
Yes.
I'm the Oogie Boogie man. Really?
Yes.
You like that much?
Yeah.
Okay, so it must have been a big deal for you then when I showed you that actor singing it.
Yeah.
We found a video where there was a concert from a few years ago, from like 2015, where I forget his name, but he was at this big orchestra concert and sang it again, and it was like the same performance. It's like exactly the same. It was spectacular.
Yeah. But like, the first time I heard that song was not in the movie. It was actually, I saw it. It was like this. It was this group that, and I didn't know. And the lead singer went like super low at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this a cappella group, and it was really cool.
Ken Page. Yeah, that's Oogie Boogie. Yeah. Anyway, I'm really surprised that that's your favorite song. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But the first time I heard that was like an a cappella group.
Yeah.
And that that music video is super cool.
Really? Okay, I'll have to go listen to that.
It's not super cool, but like there is Santa Claus tied to a chair and everyone sings around him. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. So, let me back things off for a second and say, this is a, like, really major classic from my childhood. Like, it's arguably probably in the top 3 or the top 5 of original things that came out when I was a kid that became, like, giant phenomenons that never died, that are thought of as, you know, being like as major classics that will live on forever as like Wizard of Oz and some of the great Hollywood classics, right? You've got that. You've got Lion King. Like, there's not a lot of them that are in the same category as this, and it's just a testament to how great the music is and how original the aesthetic of this was, and how impressive the stop motion is, certainly.
Yeah, that's I love the stop motion, especially because like it's animated and it's stop motion. Like some of it is most of it is stop motion, but some of it is animated, and I love that. Like the shadows and stuff.
Oh, good call. Yeah. And I don't know if the dog, if Zero is stop motion at all, or if that's just an animated effect.
I think it's an animated. I think it's animated, but I don't know.
I haven't looked at special features on this in a really long time. There's obviously like a bazillion and one different versions of this now, or like releases of this movie. So like every time there's an anniversary, there's another version with more features. I just haven't seen everything on it, but like I don't count myself a huge fan of this, but every time I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This is a big deal for me. This is a big part of my childhood, like a lot of people my age, certainly. I would have been 9 when this came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the thing that I don't know how they did was one the thing where the sleigh, and I don't know how they did that in stop motion, because like they're up in the air,
Yeah.
and I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's like, I'm sure it's like stuck to a stationary background or something.
Yeah, probably.
Would be my guess, and then moved across.
And then also Jack falling.
Which part?
The part where
I mean, Jack
he gets
falls a
blown
couple
up.
times. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's masterful. That's such
Yeah.
that's a spectacle. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Probably the most impressive thing to me is that 360-degree camera turn when he's singing "What Have I Done" after he gets blown up, where you're just like, there's all this movement and the camera is circling. It's amazing.
And I also love that song is probably like number 4 or 5.
I love the turn it takes in the middle, where it's like it's a lament, and I think that actually might be called Jack's Lament. I can't remember, but it's a lament, and like he's it's like his lowest point, right? And he's feeling a lot of regret, and wishing maybe he had never even tried this in the first place, and he's feeling disgraced. And then there's this turn right in the middle where he goes, well, you know what? No, I did what I set out to do. And, I mean, I've got to go make things right. Yes, I made some mistakes, but ultimately it was worth doing. And I love that moment. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Bad things?
Yeah.
That's like the last thing that we have to do.
Sure.
So I feel like, I mean, I know it's stop motion, but this movie just feels too short to me. Like,
sure.
I feel like it might need like maybe a couple more subplots. Or
Ooh, I don't
something.
know if it needs to add subplots. I mean, again, I don't want to be a broken record, but for me, like a lot of it, and I don't even know if it's for me that it's too short so much as the ending is real rushed. And so, like, you restructure it a little bit and you make it a lot more about Jack figuring out the true meaning of Christmas, or you make it about the fact that he can't do that. And instead of, I don't know, I just think the biggest misstep is the kidnapping Santa Claus plot.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I would replace it with, but I've always felt like that should have maybe gone some other way. And again, you lose some really cool sequences if you get rid of that. So you just hope that it would be replaced with something else. But, like, you're right. I mean, maybe it could have been, like, another 10, 15 minutes longer, forgetting how expensive it is to do that much stop motion, depending on the story they told. But, like, I don't want to rewrite the story or anything. So, like, even with what's here, yeah, the ending is kind of rushed.
Yeah, and we can talk about the ending too. That's my other bad thing.
Okay, what about it?
So, kind of like again, I really like that sequence.
Which sequence?
With
when he falls.
Yeah, that fall, and also so basically just that whole thing with he falls, and then he
goes and saves Santa Claus.
Yeah. I just love that whole thing, but
you're in agreement with me that maybe that's not the direction the story should have gone? Like,
yeah,
you lose your favorite song!
Yeah! Well... Okay.
Because I don't know that, the thing is, I don't know that this story needs a bad guy.
So, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that... I don't know when it could go, but maybe not at the end.
Yeah, but... Again, I'm just saying, regardless of where you put the Oogie Boogie song, I don't think you need a bad guy in this movie.
Yeah.
But maybe you're making a different point than I am. So, I mean, what don't you like about the ending?
I just don't like you, I don't like the bad guy plot where it's just, okay, it's a bad guy plot.
A basic,
like
typical kidnapping plot.
Every movie.
And it's not a superhero movie, and it kind of turns into a superhero movie.
Yeah. But like, oh, also, why does everyone call him Sandy Claus?
No, I love that, because Jack doesn't understand Christmas, and he understands it better than the rest of Halloween Town does. But like I love the different like levels of that of like relative understanding of a different culture that like you're not familiar with and that nobody's there to explain to you, or even if they did, you're so like I mean, indoctrinated's not the best word, but you're so like stuck in your own ways, and you've only ever had the one culture, so you don't. It's like maybe you can't fully understand this other culture. It's like if like a really primitive civilization is suddenly faced with technology, like 21st century technology, and they would see it as magic, and you couldn't convince them that people made it. Like that's how far removed Halloween Town is from Christmas Town. We're like, we don't even understand the idea of joy in the way that they experience it in Christmas Town. And in the real world, which is also a thing I've always been really confused about, is like what exactly the relationship is between the holiday towns and the real world.
Yeah.
I guess we can touch on that real fast while I'm thinking about it. But you get the sense that anybody from these other towns can just like kind of hop, skip, and jump over and wind up in the real world.
Also,
or is Halloween Town part of the real world? Or is Christmas Town part of the real world, but Halloween Town isn't? It's really confusing. Like when Santa Claus or Jack go to deliver presents, they're in what looks like just our world, which is why it's a little odd that you have that voiceover at the beginning that says like this happened a really long time ago, and it looks like we're just looking at present day 20th century from like 1993 when the movie came out, or 92 or whatever. I think it's 93, but it's really odd because it's like the Halloween Town characters don't know anything about anything outside of their world, and yet everybody seems to sort of understand that there's a regular world that they just exist in to make this holiday happen. And, like, they don't go around scaring people, they just live within their own, like, isolated world, doing Halloween stuff, and only celebrate Halloween once a year, even though all year is basically Halloween. But then, Christmas Town is different. It's like preparing all year for Christmas, and then Santa Claus goes to regular people who aren't part of these towns. I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
I've always been totally lost on that.
How is nobody...
And I don't want to overthink the thing. I get that it's sort of a fairy tale, but like a little bit of internal logic, please. Like I don't get it.
Yeah. Also, how has nobody found out about this forest with all these doors?
Yeah. And if you have to enter a door, a portal or something, in order to go to the real world, then they wouldn't be that shocked that these other doors exist. But then maybe for whatever reason, the Halloween people have never been there, but the Christmas Town people have.
Yeah.
But then how does Halloween happen if this is supposed to be the explanation for Halloween, if they don't go there? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just questions.
Question.
Again, it doesn't kill it. I mean, I love watching this movie, but like a lot of Tim Burton movies, it's lacking a little bit in the internal logic.
Yeah.
Like it skimps out in the mythology a little bit.
And there's just...
And that's basic stuff that I feel like could have been given to us pretty easily. But I'm sorry, what?
But I don't know. It's just the whole thing with the, like, my favorite song is the bad guy song, but I don't know why there's a bad guy at the end of the movie.
Uh-huh.
But, like, just... He is a really good character, but... Does he have to be the bad guy?
He's a really original character.
Yeah. And I don't know...
Like, original looking, and he's got a great voice.
And I don't know why he is, like, part of Halloween. Like, that's not...
Because he's the boogeyman.
Mm.
But, and there's other stuff they could have had. You could have, like, a Grim Reaper character and that kind of thing. But, I mean, he's the monster under the bed kind of character. There's some other ones of those. There's that crazy, like giant, like a multicolored snake guy.
Oh yeah.
that goes under the bed and stuff. But yeah, do you get the feeling that I just thought of this that the musical bad guy in Once More with Feeling in the Buffy musical is got to be somewhat inspired by Oogie Boogie? There's no way they weren't thinking of that at least a little bit in the back of their minds when they made that, right?
Yeah. Except he's not about casino. He's about, like, disco and stuff.
But they're a similar kind of theatrical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, what else do you want to talk about?
I mean, I think that's it for my notes. I think I might know who would be good for, like a live action Nightmare Before Christmas as the Oogie Boogie Man.
Uh-oh. Who's that?
I'm an outlaw.
Well, that's Michael Clark Duncan. Yeah, he would have been great. Unfortunately, he's not alive anymore, but he passed away. But yeah, he would have been great.
Yeah.
Sure. And he had a great singing voice too.
Mm.
That's a good point. Yeah, he totally Duncan could have totally pulled that off. His voice is a little deeper than that. Like he's got an ultra bass voice.
Yeah.
But I think you could have done it, or you could have transposed it a little bit, and it would have been fine. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That would have been great. So the deal with Jack's character arc for me is it's all about like, and this is gonna be weird me saying this, but I think this is what it is. It's like irresponsible cultural appropriation. It's like. The problem isn't necessarily that Jack goes to Christmas Town and he wants to adopt Christmas and bring it to Halloween Town. It's that he wants to take over Christmas. Is that he wants to bring his sensibilities to it and prove that he can do Christmas because he's tired of Halloween. And at the and he ruins it and he screws it up and he gets like understandably like correctly blown out of the sky because he tried to ruin somebody. He didn't try to, but he ruined somebody else's holiday and like he basically stole another culture as opposed to adopting another culture. Like I think that's the difference. And I wonder if people don't go back and look at this a little bit differently these days with kind of a higher sensitivity to the notion of cultural appropriation. But I also look at Jack as a artist with writer's block who's just looking for inspiration. And we often find inspiration in other cultures. And so he goes to this other culture and he's like, I've never thought about things like this. There's this joy we don't have here. And I love the juxtaposition of it. I love how extreme the differences are, where it's just opposite side of the coin, right? You have Halloween, which is all about like scary stuff and fear and sucking all the color out. And I love how Halloween Town has like almost no color in it. And then he goes to Christmas Town. Oh my God, there's color! Like I didn't even know really what color was basically, and joy as opposed to fear. And making children happy as opposed to freaking them out, but he doesn't. He can't fully understand that because he gets it on some primal level, but he doesn't understand that what they're after is the complete opposite of what the people in Halloween Town are after. And so at the end, the idea seems to be he wants to. He wants to adopt Christmas instead of Halloween, and then realizes, no, the gig I had was pretty good, but I just need to be innovative and try some new things. What I want to know at the end of the day, Jason, is what he really brings from the Christmas experience now to Halloween. Like, it needed to be, I think, bookended with the Halloween opening. Let's go to next Halloween. Let's see how it differed from last Halloween. Because he has that in that Jack lament part. I think that's what it's called. He's like, well, I've got some new ideas, and it's gonna be fresh, and we're gonna have a great Halloween next year. What did he learn from this? What did he take from it? How does he implement that into Halloween next time? Like, I want to see the Christmas influence in what he does next time. Well, we don't get that. He just says he's got some new ideas. but what? And be more specific, because the way it watches, it's just, again, we blow past it too quick. So what it feels like is, I realize I made a mess, and now I'm just going to go back to Halloween, and I've decided that I have some cool ideas now. I'm not convinced that Jack wouldn't, after a couple of years, get right back in the place he's in at the beginning of this, where he is really tired of doing the same thing over and over again, and he's basically got writer's block. Like, I'm not convinced that he really learned anything from this, beyond, I don't want to be Oogie Boogie. I don't want to ruin people's lives or people's holidays. Like, that's all I get at the end. It ends up being kind of superficial, which is really disappointing, because it's not set up that way.
Yeah.
So that's my issue with the character arc. And I think he and Sally make sense, and that's a good fit, but I think that could have gone a little farther as well. It does feel like something of a tacked on romance. I've always thought. It's romantic, and I like it. Those are the two things that feel really typical, where it's like we got a slide that maybe weren't in an original script. And I'd love to read a first draft script of this. It feels like the romance was maybe snuck in and tacked on a little bit, and it feels like the villain plot is snuck in and tacked on at the end. And they try to fit it into the character arc and the thematic ideas, and they kind of manage it. But I feel like I'm looking at something kind of compromised by the end, at least in that third act.
Yeah. I kind of have nothing to say to that.
Yeah, sure. That's kind of the spiel that I wanted to give about that, because that's always been my review of Nightmare, and I've never really done it on camera.
So is Sally a skeleton, or is she like a doll?
She's like a rag doll. I also don't get why Jack is oblivious enough to what Oogie Boogie is all about, that he uses the trick-or-treat kids to go get Santa Claus. Like anybody else. And, like, he calls Oogie Boogie, like, no account. He knows that they are, that they work for him or hang out around him. Why does he send them? Why does he send somebody else? And, like, everybody else is worried about Oogie Boogie and doesn't like these kids around. Oh, it's Oogie's boys. And then, like, it's pretty it's pretty contrived that he would go to them.
Yeah.
And I kind of think it throws Jack under the bus a little bit, because, like, yeah, he's got to, for the sake of the story they're telling, he's got to make a mess and have to clean it up. But that's a really superficial kind of way to make that mess. Like, and that's why I don't think you need any of that. Like, all the mess has to be is he goes and screws up Christmas. Now he's got to fix Christmas. Wouldn't it be cool if he had to work with Santa Claus to fix Christmas? It'd be cool if Santa Claus, like, showed him the ropes and showed him kind of how to be Santa Claus or something. You know, like, make it more about that at the end. Like, it loses its focus. So anyway, that's the big issue with it. It's so much fun to watch, but that's the problem with the character arc, the way I see it.
Yeah, it's a fun movie, but it's got its problems.
Yeah, but just story-wise, I mean, like, the execution is all fantastic. There's not a song I don't like. And that's unusual for musicals. Most of the time there's, like, a song I don't like.
Yeah, I couldn't think of any, like, least favorite songs when I put, because I feel like all of them are good.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all on par with each other. There's nothing I think is even, like, really, really weaker than the others. It's all pretty consistent. And I like the way they kind of weave in and out of each other, too. Like, it's got a sound. It's not, again, you go back to Once More with Feeling, it's not like that where it's like, 12 different song styles. Like, it has a sound. And I mean, okay, the Oogie Boogie songs kind of off in left field a little bit, but it's still, because it's Elfman, it has a lot of the sensibilities of the rest of the soundtrack.
And then you've got the slow songs that, like, Sally's song and the...
Yeah, but they still feel like they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, anything else you can think of you want to talk about? I didn't mean to dominate there at the end, but I had a whole point I wanted to make.
No.
And you sounded done, so I made my point. Is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man. So if you So if you got action figures from this movie, would you play with them?
Probably.
Yeah. That might be a fun thing to get at some point. Oh, you know what? Before we close, we should answer the big question that always comes up about this movie. I meant to do this earlier. So every year, somewhere on the Captain Logan show, and I've already been asked it this year, somebody inevitably always brings up the age-old, is it, like it's not age-old, from 93 forward, is it a Christmas movie or is it a Halloween movie? Do you see it as more of one than the other?
Yeah. I feel like this is more a Halloween movie. And, I mean, that's not just because it's set in Halloween Town. It's not set in Christmas Town, like the main town is Halloween Town. But also, all the merchandising comes out in Halloween, not Christmas.
Yeah, it's thought of by the culture more as a Halloween thing.
Yeah.
And that's understandable because it's from the Halloween perspective. Like, it's from Jack's perspective, not from, like, Santa Claus's perspective.
Yeah.
And so you see Christmas through this other lens. So, yeah, I mean, I've always felt that way, too. I think it makes perfect sense to watch this at Christmas. Although, again, I think it could have been reworked to feel more like both. If Jack had more of a true meaning of Christmas kind of arc, but again, I don't want to like rewrite the movie.
Yeah.
But you think it's more of a Halloween thing?
Yeah, I think it's more of a Halloween thing.
The beauty of it from a business standpoint, especially because and nobody could have expected the kind of phenomenon it turned into, but it ends up being marketable for like 4 months out of a year, like from, or at least Halloween and then Christmas.
Yeah.
So that's kind of genius. Really.
Yeah.
Like, it's got Christmas in the title, but it is more of a Halloween thing. And yeah, isn't that interesting? Like
yeah.
you got a handful of movies that, well, I guess you have more than a handful, that are movies about Christmas that have Christmas in the title. But you're right. This isn't a thing that people put on as much at Christmas as they do at Halloween.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and we're reviewing this at Halloween time too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we already answered the question just by doing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you had a good time with this. Jason, you sure there's not anything else you want to go
to? I don't think so. I think we've covered everything.
All right, cool. Well, leave your comments. Tell us what you think about The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm glad that we finally have a video about this on the channel. I've always wanted to talk about it. And we will see you again next week with another one. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Jason.
And we were father
and son.
All right, later, folks.